Earth, a 4.5 billion-year-old planet, still evolving. As continents shift and clash, volcanoes erupt, and glaciers grow and recede, the Earth's crust is carved in numerous and fascinating ways, leaving a trail of geological mysteries behind. In this episode, an investigation into California's San Andreas Fault, the greatest fault line on Earth. 800 miles long, this ugly scar on the landscape has spawned earthquake after earthquake. But for now, it waits quietly, deep under our cities, building up stress to strike once again. The San Andreas Fault is one of the most dangerous geological features on Earth. California's greatest cities and millions of her citizens live in constant peril. Since records began, there have been 13 large earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault.
The water lines have ruptured. There is no water coming out of the fire hydrants.
And now, America's geologists, her rock detectives, are warning of a potential disaster.
The major damage has been done.
In the fall of 2008, more than 300 scientists calculated what a major earthquake would do to Southern California.
We've been conducting a special study of a magnitude 7.8 earthquake on the southern San Andreas Fault, large enough to potentially damage tall buildings. Fire will be very significant.
The definitive scientific report presented to politicians was codenamed Shakeout. It forecast thousands of deaths and billions of dollars of damage in the city of Los Angeles, which makes it crucial to investigate the most important question: when will the next big earthquake hit the San Andreas Fault? The latest preparations for disaster are the climax of an investigation that started more than 100 years ago. In the aftermath of the Great San Francisco earthquake of 1906. The earthquake struck on a Wednesday, just before dawn. The ground shook violently for 45 seconds, igniting fires that raged unchecked for the next 4 days. "28,000 buildings, a tenth of the entire city, were destroyed, and more than 3,000 people, 1 in every 100 of the population, were killed. With a magnitude of 7.8, it's in the top 20 of North America's strongest ever earthquakes. The scale of the Great San Francisco earthquake shocked the nation. But no one understood what had made the city shake. Native American myths explained earthquakes as shocks from a battle between warring spirits. Latter-day explorers couldn't understand the shocks that destroyed their mission buildings. One Spanish missionary wrote, "The earth shook around me from explosions under the ground." 300 years later, and science has still made little progress. Refugees in the ruins of San Francisco still blamed earthquakes on mysterious underground explosions. So, just 3 days after the earthquake, the state of California asked one of the world's most famous geologists, Andrew Lawson from California State University, to investigate what had destroyed the city. He and a team of 25 scientists began collecting damage evidence in the city and surrounding countryside. There were roads that had buckled, rail tracks that had twisted. The most startling evidence of all, That came near the town of Bolinas in Marin County, to the north of San Francisco. This picket fence had an 8-foot gap in the middle. Before the earthquake, it was a solid boundary fence dividing 2 fields. But when he recreated what had happened, Lawson realized that the land had jolted apart and torn the fence in 2. Plotting the evidence on a map around San Francisco revealed a surprising pattern. Because connecting the dots drew a straight line. And at every point, the Earth moved in the same way, on the coast to the north, inland to the south. This line of weakness was the culprit they were searching for. South of San Francisco, the suspect line ran underneath a lake, the Laguna de San Andreas. So now, the earthquake perpetrator at last had a name. Professor Lawson, who a decade earlier had identified cracks in the earth here as a harmless rift, now rechristened it the San Andreas Fault. In modern-day San Francisco, the buildings, the roads, and the railways have long since been repaired. But if you know where to look, evidence of the 1906 quake can still be found. Geologist Charlie Paul follows in the footsteps of Lawson's team, seeking signs of the havoc from 1906. He finds it on the cliffs at Muscle Rock, 12 miles south of San Francisco.
The cliff is not here by accident. There's a very good reason why this cliff is here. Half a mile or so of the shore face apparently fell off in the 1906 earthquake. And if you look down below us, there's a big rotated block that's near the present-day shoreline. And it is just inboard of the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault is about a quarter of a mile offshore here. And of course, that's one of the major crustal junctions on this side of North America.
Modern computers can now trace how damage waves spread out across the city, and that pinpoints where the quake originated along the San Andreas. It was offshore, about 2 miles out to sea from the Golden Gate Bridge. So, to continue tracking the fault, the investigation must head out to sea. Marine geologists use remote operating vehicles, mini submarines, to map the seafloor.
What you'd see is subtle variations in the topography, or topography that would not.
Дъщеря ми стара снимка носи и ме пита, мамо, кой е този? Кажи ми как да кажа, че любов отвътре ме изгаря цял живот.
Колко чаках да ми се обади, това, което стори да му правиш. Ти с друг си днес, аз с друга, дали си струва?
Откакто с теб се разделих, водката в града изпих. 1 година болна бях, но едно момче ме спря. Видях перфектния мъж, успял ме носи на ръце. Отвътре джентълмен и винаги ще е до мен.
Последно като ми звъня, мене нещо там умря. 1 година и за час не излизах аз от нас. Животът ми се завъртя, срещнах истинска жена. Обича ме, гледа ме и никога няма като тебе да си тръгне.
Всичко му прощава тя за него, вечно се надява. Тя веднъж започне ли да го забравя, земята да обърне, но при него не повтаря.
Ти поиска нещо по-различно, малко бях ти свръх. Егоистично, мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене. Нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене. Мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене. егоистично. Мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене. Нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене. Мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене.
Всичко му прощава тя за него, вечно се надява тя. Веднъж започне ли да го забравя, земята да обърне, но при него не повтаря.
Ти поиска нещо по-различно, малко бях ти свръх егоистично. Мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене. Нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене, нямаш мене. Мога да ти кажа, мина вече много време. Ето всичко имаш, но отново нямаш мене.
Naturally line up. So there might be a line on the ocean floor that is higher or lower on one side, and you can